Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today, where your boy always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I am your host, Adam Peddle, running a solo podcast today, but regardless, we've got to talk about what has been transpiring in the whole Vladimir Guerrero Jr. news. Apparently, and this is according to Jeff Passan, apparently Vladdy had turned down a lot of money, and literally quoting Jeff Passan, like a lot of money, doubling down on the term a lot. So we're going to break that down, what he said exactly, and as well, what does that mean for the Blue Jays? Did they actually do a decent job in these negotiations? And what does this mean for Vladdy, and how does his market shape up depending on how he does this year? We're going to get into all that and more. Before we do, though, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today if you enjoy Blue Jays news and content. So obviously, I got to say this right now. Y'all know I had a big reaction yesterday. Y'all know we had big reactions on Tuesday to Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, and we were getting all upset. Now, I did put one caveat in the video I made yesterday saying, look, if the number wasn't astronomical that Vladdy was asking for, then it's all on Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. You had ample opportunity and resources to go and offer him a contract. You're going and offering Juan Soto a lot of money. You're going and offering, Ohtani a lot of money. And if Guerrero is asking a little bit way too much money, that could have been like what his ceiling could have been if he had like an MVP year this year, and then all these teams are raising on the market price. If he's asking for like astronomical money, then I get it, because you kind of want to let the season determine what he's worth and then let the market determine what he's worth, but you are still taking a big risk, so I do understand. However, going back to that, if it was a decent contract, like if it was a doable contract between that 450 and 500 range, there's absolutely no excuse, and he has a big out. However, with all that being said, I just want to say that off the top because I know there's different ways to look at this. However, going back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast, Jeff Passan came out and spoke on Blair and Barker, and he said he didn't know exactly what the number was, right? He's heard multiple different numbers and whatnot, but apparently he turned down a lot of money. Like a lot. That's literally the quote that you have right here. If you want to watch the full thing, go check out Sportsnet 590, the fans, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. He turned down a lot of money. Now, Jeff also thinks that part of this had to do with the Juan Soto contract, right? He thinks the Juan Soto contract changed the dynamics because if we remember, Juan Soto, he was only getting projected to get, maybe 500, maybe eclipses 500 million at this time last year when he was set to be a free agent at the end of the year. He got a lot more. Let me remind you of how much exactly more he got. He got $765 million for 15 years. Now, if, he's basically that's 50% more than what he was projected to get. If I'm Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and I'm projected to get 400, 420, 425, whatever, like that kind of feels like a right place to put him right now for what he's worth and what he's doing. Well, what's 50% of that? Math pod real quick. That's 200 million. Like, is he going to get up to close to $600 million? Maybe. Like, you never know, right? Like, it all depends on how he does this year, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But regardless, you look at the Juan Soto situation, and you think, well, of course, like the whole market has changed in the last couple of years, and you have crazy maniacs out there like Steve Cohen willing to give up everything and give you everything to get you on the baseball team. So with that in mind, like even if he wants to play for the Toronto Blue Jays, I completely understand going and testing the free agent market. This is your one opportunity to go get paid, and you could get paid quite a lot. Now, I want to bring this up because I got to give a big shout out to Joe Siddle, who retweeted the boys or reposted the boys on X, reminding everybody that, hey, I'm not sure why everyone is so surprised. Hey, look, I was also surprised, Joe. I'm going to say that outright. I was surprised because, okay, let me take that back. I wasn't surprised. I was upset. I was 50-50, if you guys know, leading up to the deadline. I was like, I'm 50-50 that it's going to happen. Obviously, the other 50 of the negative part happened, and I was upset. So I wouldn't say I was surprised, but a lot of people, if you are surprised, Joe's got this to say, saying, I'm not sure why everyone's so surprised. Players work very hard to get to free agency. This is from December on Blue Jays Today. And Joe is basically saying, you can go watch the clip right here. He's basically saying, like, yeah, I mean, of course Vladdy's going to hit free agency after seeing what Juan Soto got. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? And there is a lot of risk involved in that, right? Like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you have to be betting on yourself a little bit. And when you take a look at what Vladdy's done in his past, you know, it's either a phenomenal great year like we saw last year, like we saw in 2021, or, you know, it's a good year. It's a good year, above average year. But for Vladdy standards, you know, that's not $600 million, right? Like looking at his baseball reference, like I'm talking about last year, if he repeated what he did last year, let's play a little game right here. This year will determine how much money Vladdy gets, 100%. It will have some impact on what he gets. We saw it happen with Pete Alonso. We saw it happen with Juan Soto. Very different contracts. If Vladdy puts up a, you know, top tier, superstar, MVP, top 5 voting kind of year, yeah, I think Vladdy will probably, like if he put up what he did last year, you're looking at a guy going to free agency at the age of 26, going to be turning 27 in his first full contract year of whatever. I think this guy gets, it's over 500 for sure. The market will determine that. Over 500. And you might think I'm crazy, but I could even see him getting 600, getting 650. Seriously, like if he put up what he did in 2021, 600 million. Seriously, 48 home runs, on base of 400, OPS of 1,000. That's not too far from Juan Soto. And you're 26, that's 600 million. 100,000%. However, if he puts up a year like he did in 2023 or even 2024, where the home run numbers are around upper 20s, low 30s, the OPS is around that high 700, low 800, I start to question. I really do think at that point, I mean, you never know how the market's going to react. It's hard to predict these kind of things, but you know, based on what we saw with Pete Alonso, because he kind of regressed and had one of his lesser years, granted a lot older, so that's also something to consider, but people were hesitant to go and give him the $150 million that he wanted. Maybe he goes and gets the low 400. Now I know that sounds still like a lot for like the numbers he put up, but you got to consider the age in this whole thing too, right? Like if he signs a 10-year contract for 400, that's $40 million. However, you know, you tack on 12 years. I'm doing some quick math right now. That's less than $40 million per year. That's probably where you might be paying him, because you're still paying for the upside because you know he could do it, right? You know the talent's there. You look at the baseball savant. He's obviously very talented. He hits the ball effing hard. So you know he can do it, but like you're not paying for it. And then maybe Vladdy also, maybe things go in a different direction. Maybe Vladdy does an opt-out after year 5 or 6 or something. Maybe he wants to, or maybe in year 3 or 2 and wants to go and see if he can have another type of MVP type of year and then explode and make a lot of money. Like this might not be as cut and dry or black and white as we possibly think about this, because it all depends on this year, right? And now let me ask you, as Blue Jay fans, you let me know in the comments down below. You ask me, or let me ask you, Jesus. Let me ask you, what would you want Vladdy to have? Because if Vladdy has an MVP type year, I guess it all depends if we win the World Series. Win the World Series, has MVP type of year, I don't care. I mean, at that point, like if Vladdy walks, like I'm sorry, like Vladdy walks, we got it. We got the ring. You know what I mean? Like we did it. The last dance happened. We did it. But if he has a good year and we missed playoffs and he said he wants to play on a World Series team, he goes test out free agency and he's going to get a lot of money. You know, and the Blue Jays, you miss playoffs, how much revenue you're generating. Still probably a good amount you're owned by Rogers Communication Company. Slurred. But still, I think that's a scary thought to think that if he has a phenomenal year, you know, we're going to have to pay out of the bag and we're probably going to lose him. However, if he has a bad year, bad for Vladdy's standard, like what I was talking about in 2023, I mean, that might be actually better for the Blue Jays to get him back, because Vladdy might want to do a kind of prove it kind of thing, or maybe he takes a little bit less money and plays for the Jays anyways. Maybe he's not getting those offers from those other teams. I don't know. That's what's sad. And I don't want to root against Vladdy. That's not what I'm saying right here. I don't want to root this guy sucking because I want this guy to win. I want to win this year. I mean, we've got Max Scherzer. We got Anthony Santander. We got Jeff Hoffman. We have Bo. We have Vlad for one more year. Like, I don't want to be on a losing team. Let's go and try and win, right? So, but if it does shape out where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has a bad year, it might actually be beneficial for the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, I want to bring up one more thing. Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate, and guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content. Before I sign off right here, and that is that David Ortiz, he came out and he was talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and how much money he thinks he's worth. I made a short on this, so if you saw it already, you know what I'm talking about. But David Ortiz thinks that Vladdy is worth $585 million for 13 years. That's $45 million per year. I will agree with that number if Vladdy does exactly what he does this upcoming year. That's kind of what it is, right? Because if you factor in the market, everything like that, that's what it is. And I asked everybody, do you think that he's worth that money? 60% of you said no. 40% of you said yes. I think right now he's not worth that money because you haven't seen the consistency with how high of a level he can play. Some of you say yes, and I can see where you're coming from. Where if this is his peak, if what he did last year was his peak, and he's going to continue to peak for the next 5 years until he's like 29, 30, then then he is worth that money, and I agree with you. So I think that's where the disconnect is. And circling it all the way back, folks, if Jeff Passan is right, and he usually is, and the Blue Jays offered him a lot of money, if that's the case, speculating here, if that was $500 million, then there truly was nothing we could have done or the Jays could have done. Because let's be honest, I wouldn't pay him the $585. Personally, you tell me in the comments, I wouldn't pay him the $585 right now because that's what you'd get paid if you did it again. And I don't know if you're going to do it again, right? $500 I was kind of comfortable with. That's still a big shot, a long shot, to being a good contract because you don't know. But that's why the Blue Jays, I guess, were okay with letting the market determine how much he's worth. And it's been a couple days. I've calmed down. I see it for what it is. I'm still very upset, my goodness, that my player, my guy, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., my favorite player ever in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform, could be leaving this year. And it's going to be very scary to watch, but we have to watch and we have to support him regardless because at the end of the day, what is this all for? What is all these contracts for? What is all this offseason drama and all of this stuff all for? It's to win a bloody World Series. Okay? And yes, you might think that the Blue Jays have no chance of winning a World Series. Baseball is weird. Maybe things happen. Maybe we go deep. You never effing know. But if you sell Vladdy or trade him or you don't have Vladdy, I know for a fact that it's going to be a lot harder to get that. So with that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below with this whole Vladimir Guerrero Jr. update. How much do you think he got offered? I want to hear your thoughts down there. Please hit that like button, subscribe to Blue Jays Today. $4 a month to become a YouTube member. Shout and thank you to all of our YouTube members. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, guys, go Jays, go.